Good morning, and welcome to Ark and Dove Presbyterian Church in Odenton, Maryland. I'm Brian Boudreau, the Clerk of Session at Ark and Dove, and I'm your host today in the lobby. I'm glad you could join us. Later, we will be talking to Julia Kirby, the Administration Elder, about the new announcements by the Governor and County Executive regarding the lifting of restrictions and what path to reopening could look like for Ark and Dove. As we get ready for worship, I learned that we have a special musical guest this week. Mark Edwards, our previous contemporary music director, will play a guitar piece for us. Mark is now teaching and performing in Brooklyn, New York, so we're glad to have him back, and I'm really excited to hear what he has in store for us. Also, I was fortunate enough to participate in a choir piece that Margaret put together. There will be 10 voices singing today, so that's really exciting. Now, if you're interested in helping to contribute to our service, we all miss seeing each other together. So what we're asking is that you submit selfies of you and your families so we can share during worship. We especially love seeing how you are worshiping in front of the TV, on the phone, on the kitchen counter, little ones in jammies, maybe adults too. But any way that you could send photos, you could send them to admin@arkanddove.org or to Ellen Makar, the worship elder, at eemakar@aol.com. You can also join us for a midweek evening prayer. That's every Wednesday from 8:30 to 8:45. And this is a great way to end your day in thanksgiving and supplication. Last week, we talked about our new initiative to help the community, Samaritan Today. We are trying to provide meals to our neighbors who have been impacted by the pandemic. Non-perishable food and cash donations are being accepted. Consider donating today. You can even donate by texting during the service. So Godly Play, which has just finished right now, is our Sunday school program for kindergarten through 5th grade. It takes place via Zoom on Sunday mornings at 9. Amy Tardif leads the Godly Play program, and our host welcomes the children in, and the storyteller tells a story, and then leads the children in reflection and wondering. If you have any questions about Godly Play, or would like to be put on the list to receive the Zoom invitations, please contact Julie Devers, our Christian Ed Elder, at jbdevers@gmail.com. Also, the Senior High Fellowship meets today, Sunday, at 5 p.m. Middle School Fellowship is on Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. and the kindergarten through 5th grade midweek fellowship is on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. So if you want to sign up for any of these, get an invitation, just check out the church webpage, or you can contact Julie Devers once again. For seniors, there is a tea time on Thursdays at 3 p.m. over Zoom. You want an invitation? You just need Tim to receive one. Also, Pastor Tim and Lenny Gardner will be co-facilitating the next Healing Through Grief group on Wednesday, May 26th at 7 p.m. It will be a Zoom meeting, and this Healing Through Grief small group is open to anyone attending Ark and Dove and their family who have experienced the death of a loved one, whether it's recent or even a long time ago. While quarantining during the COVID-19 crisis, many have found grieving for lost ones very difficult, even from a long time ago. So as somebody who's participated in this group, I found it especially helpful when I lost my mother. So I would really strongly recommend attending this, even if whether it's recent or a long time ago, dealing with this. There will be another meeting on June 10th, so please contact Pastor Tim or Lenny to receive a Zoom invite. Also on May 26th at 7 p.m., Pastor John will hold a book discussion. We'll gather virtually, obviously, via Zoom to discuss the book Naamah by Sarah Blake. It's a contemporary retelling of the flood narrative from Genesis. It's told from the viewpoint of Naamah, Noah's wife. So please let Pastor John know if you would like to have an invitation. Now, earlier this week, Governor Hogan and County Executive Stuart Pittman issued new guidance for the reopening of Maryland and Anne Arundel County. We have Admin Elder Julia Kirby here with us today to talk about how Ark and Dove is interpreting these new instructions. So welcome, Julia, to the lobby. How are you and your family doing these days?
Hi, Brian. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. My family's doing pretty good. Mackenzie's still doing everything online from school to tap dance to violin lessons, but we definitely miss our church family quite a bit.
Yeah, that's amazing. She's able to do dance and all her school online. Wow.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch. They just put the camera down on the floor where her feet are since it's a tap class, and they turn up the music and away they go.
Wow, it's amazing how innovative we can become even in these sort of desperate times. It's very exciting. All right, before we get to the nuts and bolts about reopening, I wanted to ask you about your ministry and for those who may not understand what the admin elder's role is.
Certainly. So the admin elder has a number of different responsibilities, including policies and personnel of the church. So all of the staff and all of the policies that we have, which covers all of the different ministries. We also are responsible for the long range planning activity, which we do every 3 to 5 years. And we actually just kicked off our long range planning team. And we have responsibility for communications, such as the website, and now a lot of the live streaming activities as well.
All right, so a lot of responsibilities in that ministry.
There are quite a few.
So now, how is the staff working these days at the church?
So most of the staff are working from home, but they do use the church periodically. And Tim and John go in periodically to do things at the church. We also have other people that are in and out of the church, but generally the church is locked down. We do have a cleaning station for your hands with hand sanitizer and everything if you do come to visit the church. So the church is open, but we are not having active meetings at the church at this time.
Okay, so there are a lot of Zoom meetings. So what would I do if I wanted to schedule a meeting?
Yes, we actually have two different Zoom numbers that we're using for the church. We are very active with Zoom meetings, as you just mentioned in the announcements. So if you would like to schedule a Zoom meeting, all you have to do is contact our administrator, Monday, and it's at admin@arkanddove.org. You can send her an email and she will help you get on the schedule.
Oh, it's that easy. Okay.
It is.
What can you tell us now about the new orders and how that affects Ark and Dove?
So the new orders that came out from the governor had allowed much more relaxed rules as far as gatherings. But then our county executive, Stuart Pittman, came back and narrowed those rules back down a little bit. Again, limiting gatherings to 10 people or less. We are also getting guidance from our insurance company, Church Mutual, and Tim and I both attended the Presbytery meeting last week, where we heard from General Presbyter Reverend Jackie Taylor about Presbytery's guidance on gathering and opening up the doors. And the guidance there was that we need to take this very conservatively. It took us about 8 weeks to really do live streaming well. It's going to take probably a length of time for us to transition into what may be the new normal.
Okay, so first off, I hear that there are at least 4 different places where you're getting guidance. So the church has to then balance all of that and interpret that. So that's a job in and of itself, right? So I'm sure people are wondering when we'll return to the sanctuary. Do we have any idea based on the different guidance that you've been given?
We know we won't be back in the sanctuary for at least the next 2 weeks. So obviously today we're doing live streaming. Next week we do plan to do live streaming again. And then the session is actually meeting next week to discuss our reopening plans and how we'll go about that, because there are a number of different principles that we have to look at when we get to reopening. Things like people wearing masks, maintaining appropriate distancing, and the issue of singing. So if we have learned through all of the research, and Margaret and Pat have both done extensive amounts of research on this, that singing actually can create quite a bit of danger because you're blowing air out in a continuous pattern, particularly with a large group of singers. So that's one thing we're going to have to figure out, is how we will continue to have music in the new environment once we do reopen. So those are all questions that the session's going to talk about and try and figure out our best path forward.
All right. So yeah, Pastor Tim, I guess, talked about the music and singing in his message this week. So I guess that means we won't be singing necessarily when we meet in person. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Mm. And then let's say I'm nervous about maintaining social distancing, even once the in-person services. I might wonder how that affects me. I mean, what about the live streaming service? Will we keep that up?
Yes, we've already decided we're going to continue the live streaming. It will be something that we're just going to add to our worship experience going forward. We have made some great investments that have made live streaming everything that it is today, with the addition of the different music groups and our ability to mix the music, and having all of our staff understand exactly how to do live streaming, because that was a huge learning curve. But because it is such a benefit, and we do have members who have moved away from our community who are now attending again, we definitely want to keep our church family expanding, and we don't want anyone to feel nervous about attending worship. So this way they will be able to attend in the comfort of their homes, or once we do reopen, they can come back to church, but it will be a choice that they can make on their own.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad that the session is considering that, because I know that there's lots of different levels of comfort as we move forward. So do you have any other updates from your ministry or anything from the presbytery? You said you attended a meeting Thursday. Was there any other news to share?
There's going to be, of course, lots of changes going forward. We did talk about General Assembly, which has been pushed back. We are going to be doing some live streaming activities related to that as well. And we are also looking at how we can, in this next phase, look at different ways we can actually use our church building more effectively to benefit the community at large. So Tim and I will be bringing the information that we learned during those sessions back to the session at Ark and Dove, so that what we can possibly do going forward. And I'll also be sharing that with our long range planning team, which just kicked off. Chris Fox is leading that team, and I think we're going to have some great opportunities to get information from the congregation and really challenge where we want to go in the future.
Wow, so with the long-range planning team, it's like the sky's the limit. We can think outside the box, not to use too many buzzwords, but it sounds like there's a real opportunity there for us if making the best of this situation.
Absolutely, and that's the whole idea with a long-range plan, is to really think about what the future could hold for us and not limit to ourselves. So I think we have a great team for that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Julia, for joining me today. It was a real pleasure getting to talk to you.
It was great talking to you too, Brian. Thanks so much.
Wonderful. And as always, thank you for joining us today. It is truly a pleasure to be able to talk to you every week. The information discussed here is also shared on the webpage and in the weekly archive letter. So be sure to check these out. If you're not getting the weekly email, call the Ark and Dove office to get on the email list. I'm sorry, I'm just receiving some notification from my producers. They're telling me that you can send your selfies to selfie@arkandove.org. So the pastors, along with Session and the deacons, are committed to being there for you in any manner that they can. So please stay tuned, and the live streaming service will begin momentarily. See you next week.